Hello everyone, my name is Brandon Rowe and I am dedicated to improving my own life and helping you to also improve yours. Today's video is going to be a little bit funny given that intro because I'm actually going to be talking about some major setbacks that recently happened in my own life and how those are related to my own bipolar disorder. I'm going to describe how these setbacks can actually be framed and seen as a positive thing in the frame of my life, and also how anyone else struggling with mental illness or really anything else that's going to give you major setbacks can also be seen as something that's positive in the whole grand scheme of your life as far as you moving forward as a person. So just to give you a little bit of background, in the past month I've had two manic episodes, hypomanic, manic episodes that kind of ranged in severity. But at 2 points, two separate occasions, I took myself to the hospital and I stayed overnight. And generally, when something is severe enough to require hospitalization, that is termed as a full-on manic episode. I think my symptoms were a little bit scaled back from that, but I did make the decision to go to the hospital myself, and I found that, I was making some really questionable life decisions in this time, and now coming back and looking back at those experiences, I'm trying to unwind everything and really understand exactly what just happened. But to give examples, I gave away all of my savings, so that's about maybe 3 months of my living expenses. I gave this to coworkers or random people. I gave really big tips, like if I ate at a restaurant, I ate at a Steak and Shake, and I actually only drank the water and I didn't eat the meal because at the time, I was trying to eat a plant-based diet, and I didn't even touch the food, and I tipped someone $100. And, at the time it felt like a great thing to do. And I'm not saying that any of the things that I did, like specifically, were negative or bad actions. It's just all of these things added together ended up being something that impacted my life and has made me have to kind of reconsider how I'm going to move forward. And it really did just throw a wrench in all of my plans for what I was planning to do coming up in the next few months. I was planning to start investing more in real estate. All of the money that I had in savings, I was going to use for that. So that giving all that money away in manic episodes really put a big dent in that. And then another thing that I did was I also quit my job. Now, there were some other reasons for me to quit my job. I wasn't 100%, fully happy there, but it was a good job and it was a good opportunity for me. And it was impulsive to quit it, that drastically. I didn't give a 2 weeks notice. I actually quit the job on a group text message between all of the employees. This is kind of a smaller company, maybe 10 to 15 employees. But the owners of the company sent out a Merry Christmas group text. And on Christmas Day, I texted this long paragraph to describe that I would be quitting, effective immediately, I said, word for word. And I told them I was doing this for my own mental health and that this was just the decision I was making, essentially. So that is another drastic thing that I did in the past month that is related to these manic episodes that I experienced. Another thing that I did was I got back in a relationship with my ex. I view this as a positive decision, but still it is another decision that the manic episode it brought up the emotions. And this is something that's important to understand, especially with bipolar disorder. A manic episode, yes, there can be delusions, or there can be, high euphoria or high anger, or, it definitely changes how you act and operate as a person. but also it's only changing the way that you're acting externally. You already had all of these feelings, all of these desires kept inside of yourself. Just you were keeping these things inside in your normal day-to-day life when you're not in a manic or super depressed state. You're keeping all these emotions in, and when you get to a manic state, you might be confident enough or you might be reckless enough to go ahead and do everything that your heart really wanted you to do. But you do these in kind of uncalculated, quick ways that can sometimes give pretty bad consequences. And sometimes they can actually be really positive. I honestly see every manic episode that I've ever had has actually brought some really positive things into my life. It's had me just basically refocus and relook at my whole entire life. And it does this by bringing about chaos and all of the normal things that you do. Something that I've realized is every single time that I've had a manic episode, I wasn't really that happy or that content with things right before it happened, or at least in the months prior. Like there were things that, the manic episode definitely brought to light that needed to be changed. And honestly, even though a manic episode is definitely going to throw you off track as far as where your plans in life are at, you can look at it as something is basically it's bringing to light subconscious information from your subconscious mind that you normally wouldn't want to admit exists to other people and sometimes even to yourself. But getting beyond all of that, I want to talk about how setbacks actually can be something that's really positive. I think anyone who's ever been successful is going to tell you that success comes with many risks, and you have to be prepared to fail. This is actually one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's, I think it's his 6 rules for success. One of them is that you need to do not be afraid to fail. Because if you're afraid to fail, you're going to be a perfectionist. You're going to be trying to get everything right. I actually made a few videos ago about perfectionism. I'll go ahead and link that in the description here. In that video, I talked about how perfectionism can limit your results in pretty much any aspect of your life if you really take it to the highest level and you try to get every last little detail figured out when you're doing something. It's going to slow down whatever you're doing a ton, and it's really going to hold back how much you can put out and how many things you can do. But beyond all of that, looking at these setbacks, or if you want to call them failures, you can call them failures. Look at these as great learning experiences. These setbacks will serve as very real and unforgettable reminders that you changed the course of your life, and from then on, you'll look back at that time and see, okay, this is what I did previously. How well did this work out for me? You'll at least do this if you're someone who is trying to develop yourself and is really looking inward and looking at your own life, which is very important to do if you want to improve. Something that it really brought to light these 2 manic episodes and quitting my job and getting back in a relationship and everything, it basically showed me that I wasn't really living the life that I wanted to live. And I was living a somewhat comfortable life where I could pay the bills and I could invest some money and I could do some things that were sort of fun, but I was really lacking a lot of spark that I wanted in my life, and I wanted to live differently. That's what it really comes down to. I wanted to live differently. And I think whether you have bipolar disorder, a mental illness, or not, you're going to come to a point in time where you have a lot of failures, and you'll realize that those are kind of showing you that maybe you should refocus some things. Maybe you should do some things differently. And I know that's exactly what has happened for me in the past month. And I had to basically deal with the decisions that I made when I was in a manic state And I did those decisions because I didn't want to keep living the same life. And now that I'm at a more normal emotional state, I have to deal with those consequences. And in a way, I kind of thank my manic self for acting out in those ways. Because if it wasn't for that courage and that kind of recklessness that the manic episode brings, it might have taken me, 6 months, a year, multiple years to make those decisions that would have inevitably held me back in my happiness and in finding my purpose and moving forward with my life. Something that I had in the thumbnail here was this book, Touched with Fire, if you can see it here. It's a book that talks about how people with manic depressive illness, also at least now known more often as bipolar disorder, it talks about how people with this disorder, with what I'm afflicted with, they have shown through history that some of our greatest artists have been, they had this illness. And it just goes to show that these extreme emotional states that you experience from a manic episode or from a depressive episode, they really bring about something that you can express to the world. And that's why I think, some of the most successful people who have bipolar disorder, they have gone to the arts. A lot of them are actors, like Russell Brand, if you've heard of him. He's done a lot of things. He's a very successful person. At first he did movies and films, and he did all of this after recovering from addiction. And he doesn't even really talk about having bipolar disorder that much, but he's kind of known as a celebrity who has exhibited symptoms and is kind of known to have the disorder. And I think one reason why doing things that are more artistic is actually better for people with bipolar disorder is because, it's really hard to maintain a kind of stable, boring life when you have this disorder. The disorder really brings about a level of chaos to your life. And sometimes in an area such as the arts, a level of chaos might actually bring about some really useful strengths to you. But anyway, I've talked enough about that and about bipolar disorder in this video. So if this video has helped you guys at all, I would appreciate it if you could give me a like. I am going to be uploading videos again regularly. I lapsed a bit and didn't upload for about a week just because I had been going through all of these major life changes myself, which I'm sure you all can understand why I would take a small break from YouTube during all of that. But yeah, tune in for more videos. I'm going to be making more videos about personal development in the future, and I would love to see you guys in those videos. So thank you for watching the video all the way through, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.